What's going on, guys? Welcome into episode number 13 of the Male Mind Podcast. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm here with Louie, my co-host, looking fresh. Just got a haircut, by the way.
Just got a haircut because I was looking like a homeless. I literally said that to Tony. I was like, bro, I'm going to get my haircut. I need to look good. I leave town this weekend, so that's the
So he needs to get cleaned up because he needs to be on point. Dude's style is impeccable. Impeccable. Guys,
what's up?
How are you doing?
We're good, man. It's been busy. Great episode with Mike last episode.
Check that out, episode 12.
We got a good feedback, and Mike's a great person to have, and knowledgeable, and is good at his craft.
Yeah,
right?
he is.
He's
really
perfected that craft.
Yeah,
and I think a lot of the times when we talk about, success, it comes down to perfecting that craft and what you're good at and giving back to the world, right? And giving back to what you're good at.
Yeah, 100%. And one of the things that Mike talked about that I think we're going to dive into a little bit deeper is, as you know, he does something very similar to you do, where you guys are training people in fitness and nutrition. And a lot of that comes down to self-control. It comes down to delayed gratification, having a long-term vision, and not undermining that with small things day in and day out.
Right.
So you sent a post, an Instagram post that you liked, that you wanted to address on today's episode. So today's topic is going to be about self-control. But share the post. You saw it. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, so I don't do a lot of social media in like my morning routine, right? And it's crazy because I think everything happens for a reason, right? So last week I got up, I meditated, I read my book like I always do in the morning. I did my morning walks. And then I grabbed my phone in the car, and the first thing that I saw on social media, because I was going through my DMs, was this post. And Ray will put it up on the screen, but a man who controls his stomach, penis, and tongue has solved 99% of his problems. And that stood out to me a lot because it's so true. Now, me going through my self journey and growth, I had to fight all of those things. And I'm sure a lot of you guys right now out there have a hard time controlling
one or two or all three of
those. And that's where we're failing, right? And when we talk about the male mind and us as males is we are missing something. We're not going to be perfect, right? But we're always missing these attributes. And a lot of people that you guys follow or see a podcast or, look up to, they have these things under control, right? And I love watching the McGregor series. I think we talked about this.
Yeah, we did.
And I was like, bro, like, this is so awesome. Like, he's had the same wife, the same person his whole career. He mastered the control of his penis. Let's be real. And what we mean by penis, you guys, is that sexual, behavior and drive that we men get when we start being more successful and more money and all that stuff. The ego comes about. And I loved it because I was like, man, like, Conor McGregor's it. Like, he's made it, right? And there was an episode or a clip that is like, without my wife, I wouldn't be where I am today. And she was with him when he was nobody.
From the beginning, he talks about D all the time. And D, when she speaks about Conor, she often says she was the first person to hear his dream. And she was the first person to believe him. She says, I genuinely believed what he was telling me when 100%. He wasn't anyone, right? And so I think that speaks to the importance of having a good partner that will support you and that will be with you. But you're spot on with your point. I mean, that's difficult to do when you're a celebrity like that and you have people all around you and you could easily do a million things, but you choose not to and you choose to stay faithful. So let's dive into this. Let's break it down into those three things. Let's do it. Starting with the stomach, that's the first one, right? Yeah. So that's something that you deal with on a daily basis. Daily basis, people breaking their diets, their meal plans, getting off meal plan, cheating, having these cheat meals or whatever. So how do you get somebody started? Somebody that doesn't have that framework, no habits, just eats whatever. And at some degree, I talk about myself because for a time, even though I'm starting to get better, but it was gas station food, bro. It was like, all right, I need to go to the bathroom. So because I was driving all the time showing homes, it's like, oh, I got to go to the bathroom. Okay, I'm going to a gas station and I'm picking up food at the gas station. Quick. So how do you help somebody establish that self-control or internalize it when they have no foundation for it?
I think it's just slowly building their habits back into their life. And with that being said, you guys, a lot of you guys don't have good habits, right? So when we talk about controlling your stomach, right, that's the physical trait of a man, right? When you see a man who's fit, a six-pack, big shoulders, just looks really good, you know that guy's disciplined. You know he has his shit together, not necessarily with his penis or his brain, right? But he's working towards his physical goal, right? And the biggest thing, you guys, is understanding that you have to break all the habits first. They say it takes 21 days to break a habit, but this is a 3, 4, 5, 6 month programming that you have to rewire in your brain, right? I literally have to rewire the way you look at food, the way you think, when you wake up, when you go to bed. All those things play a huge role, right? So with someone that just barely comes in, I have to ask all the tough questions, in a consult to get an idea of where they're at. Most people just want to be told what to do and be held accountable because they know how to lift. And some people actually they're better at the gym, right? But they suck at the dieting part of it. So my job is to kind of mold those together and have them understand and give them the science and then say, this is what you're going to do. Because I give them the blueprint, like I've always said. But the biggest thing for me is making sure that I see them every week. That works a lot because in their mind, okay, this 1 week I have to be perfect. I see Lou next week, and then next week after that. And after that, after a month, most people are actually doing pretty good.
And they start to kind of figure it out on them.
And they always do.
On their own, right?
But if someone truly wants to change, they will show up every single time, and they will be dedicated, and either male or female. But I think the biggest thing is letting them understand the science, but also what their lifestyle now is doing to them. And I have to kind of I wouldn't say a dick, but I tell them like, oh, okay, so you go out to eat. You go out to eat every day, $35 adds up. You're spending $300 a week.
And sometimes we don't realize that. I know I didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, every time I walked into a gas station, it was $9.
Oh,
every time.
Yeah.
It was like 3, 4, 5 times a day. And you look at that over a year, that's a lot of money. So sometimes we don't realize the negative impact of the small things. We don't think it's that big of a deal. Like, whatever. But then the compounding effect over time is adds what up. Then puts us in a bad position that is so much harder to get out of. Yeah. Right? Now, you talk about habits. I want to kind of focus on habits a little bit because there is this concept that's called ego depletion. So ego depletion, Google this, guys. But ego depletion, basically what the premise is that your willpower is like a muscle. It gets fatigued. And so the more you have to delay gratification or make decisions, you get tired of that. Yeah. And so one of the ways that you can actually counteract that so that you don't feel that way is by establishing habits. Because if I have good food in front of me all the time and I have to refrain myself all the time, that gets very, very tiring. 100%. But if you have good habits to where I know what I'm having for breakfast, I know what I'm having for lunch, I have my water figured out, I've got my routine, the propensity for me to deviate from that is a lot less. And I won't feel that ego depletion of, man, this sucks. I've been holding myself back all this time. Right. And then all of a sudden you break and now you had 2,000 calories of Oreos in 4 seconds, right?
So 2 things. So with that, having a habit, having a routine really helps you. Having the where, what, and how, right? Because when I have clients, I give them everything, right? It's right there in front of you. All you got to do is do it. But to second that, I think people need to remember their why. Because most people that come in, oh, Lou, it's been a week. Like, I'm going to stick with the chicken. Like, can I have something else? Oh, I cheated. What's happening to me? What's your why? You were pre-diabetic. You need to lose 50 pounds. Your doctor literally told you to hire a coach. And that's the thing. You have to remember the why. And I tell all of my athletes, actually I had a guy message me yesterday, and I said, honestly, man, you've been eating like shit your whole life. 6 months will change your life and will teach you how to have a better relationship with actual healthy food.
But it's going to take time beyond that. I mean, you can't erase 20 years of bad nutrition in 90 days.
And I told him, you have to remember your why. You're doing this for a reason. You chose to do this, right? You're only doing this, dieting hardcore for, 13, 14 weeks. You look amazing, But other than that, I promise you, when you go back to eating normal, you won't want to, because you feel so much better by controlling your food and your intake and having a plan, because you feel good and look good.
Yeah, and now you have context because
Exactly.
And that's happened to me of certain foods that I used to eat all the time, and now I just know how bad they are.
Yeah.
And even if before it's like, oh, it tastes so good, but now once you have that context of how harmful it is, now that has more weight than the taste of the food itself, which is crazy because you can have one of your favorite foods and now all of a sudden you don't even want it anymore because you know how damaging it is. But you have to get that context of what is the consequence if I indulge in this food or whatever it is, whether it's a lot of soda, a lot of energy drinks versus water, which has been a thing that I've struggled with.
Yeah.
And so when you're dealing with people and they continue to fall short, I mean, this is something that in that post, if you can learn the self-control, you'll solve 99% of your problems, right?
Yeah.
But far too often there's these phrases like, oh, you cheated on your diet, or oh, you fell short, or you didn't check in, or you didn't do all these things.
Yeah.
How do you deal with someone that is incredibly hard on themselves? So they always put themselves down.
Right.
They expect themselves to be perfect, and they're not. And now it's kind of this mental health cascade.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
So with me, the easiest way is to tell them it's okay. You should never, if you're a coach, never reprimand or never hurt your client by having them cheat or having them, go off menu, right? It's going to happen. We're not perfect. And I tell people, if you are eating 6 times a day, example, and you have 7 days, right? That's 40 meals. If you have 35 to 36 perfect meals, those 2 or 3 meals aren't going to really hurt you. You're actually above 90%. Let's keep it that way. And that's the biggest thing, because these people are going from 20%. If you're giving me 80 or 85 to 90, you're doing way better than before.
Yeah, you're winning.
And you're winning. But how I explain winning in a dietary program is clothes fit better. You went to the gym 5 times this week. You had all your water every day. Someone complimented you at the gym. Those are all wins that doesn't tie into the actual, I need to be 100% on my diet.
So do you think
that's what kills you?
Yeah. So do you think 100% is the real goal?
Yeah. And I've had people be 100%. Yeah. From day 1 to day 6 months later.
Now, is that most of those people, are they competitive athletes or just everyday people?
You'd be surprised. They're not. Because most people know their why. And their why is bigger than a donut or a hamburger or anything like that. And most people that have a goal or like a cruise or a wedding, or they have a big event, it's weird because every person that has a date or a goal actually gives me 90 to 100%.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's wild.
So having something in the future that you can look to, that's interesting, because often when you ask someone the why, it's like, oh, I want to be healthy. Or the why, oh, I want
to be shredded.
Or I want to be there for my kids. I mean, but kind of more generic whys, which are still completely valid. But I find it interesting that you say when you have a date that seems to improve performance.
Way.
That's extraordinary.
And the cool thing is, like, half of my athletes that, hey, we have a goal, we're doing October, we're doing March, they see it as, okay, I have these next 8 months to kill it, right? And some of my lifestyle clients do the exact same thing, but it's a different method. And what I've seen is the age range from 20 to 28 is, I want to look good, I want to have a 6-pack, I want all this, more of the physical ego of it. And then from 29 to 45 is, I want to be healthy for my family and kids.
Right.
And that's a 10-year gap. So that just shows you where we're at and where we're standing as people, right? But the biggest thing, you guys, is with dieting itself, people do really well because they can control it. Humans want to do what? Control everything, right? When something's out of control, we're out of whack, right? We're not in alignment with ourselves. But I teach people that this is the only thing you can control. You control your water, you can control your sleep, you can control all your meals, what you put in, what you put out in your mouth. You can control that.
Sure.
And that's when they start realizing, like, well, like, I have full control of all of this. When my life is shit, I can still control the gym time, my food, my water, and my sleep.
So those are the controlled variables.
Exactly.
I love that. So some things practical things that I've tried to implement as I'm on this fitness journey. You're way ahead than I am, but some of like the small things that have helped me, for example, and correct me if any of these are incorrect, but number one is I consciously think whether I'm hungry or not. Because what I used to do is it's dinner time. Like you just eat because there's food there.
Right.
Or you go to an event or you go to a fight night or something, there's food there.
Right.
And you just eat it because it's there without even thinking, am I even hungry? And the reverse to that is being mindful of when I'm full.
Right.
And actually thinking, okay, am I still hungry? And being able to stop yourself, even if there's still food left, when you're satisfied.
Right.
Because for me, I was getting into a lot of just mindless eating. There's food there, so I'm just gonna eat it. There's chips there, I'm gonna eat it. I'm gonna keep eating until it's gone. But what I found is that often I will stop myself when there's still food there.
Gotcha.
And so I had to kind of get to a place where I didn't feel like I was being wasteful or ordering less food.
Right.
Because I started to realize that I didn't actually need that much food. Right. So I would go to like buffets and I would eat I would go to the buffet 3 times. And now I've realized that I can go once and it's fine.
Satisfied.
You're satisfied. But before I used to like stuff myself, we used to go to Texas Roadhouse and I'd get the big steak, the 12-ounce steak.
Yeah. I still do that.
And then, right. But then I did the 6-ounce and it was fine.
Yeah. And I think that's more of a self-control thing.
Yeah.
And now coming from an athlete perspective, I had to learn that I'm eating 2,500 calories divided by 5 or 6 times a day. I'll be full every 2 or 3 hours, and that was fine for me. But I was following the protocol that my coach gave me, so I was held accountable to that. Fast forward 8 years later, I'm just a regular guy now, right? I'm still mindful of all of that because for me, dude, it's if I eat like shit, I feel like shit.
Sure.
It happens every single time. Now remember, I've been dieting for almost a decade. So of course, my body's actually used to me eating
certain
clean
things.
all the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, we have our date nights or we have our cheat day, our cheat meal.
But you feel it. After the cheat day, do you feel like trash?
I used to.
For a little bit.
Like crap.
Yeah.
But now I started going to restaurants and being more mindful of my food. I'm still eating within my macros, but I realized that I'm here to be present. People that are around me don't care what I eat. They don't.
They don't.
The food is for me. Everything else is to me be present and spending time with my people that I'm with or with Cass. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that was the biggest thing for me because I want to be like, oh yeah, let's go out to eat. Remember we went to Toscano's? I can down fucking 5 plates.
Me too.
Right? Then I was like, you know what? I'm here for my friends. I'm here for my family. I think we had a meeting.
Yeah.
And I was there for that. I was still eating clean.
Yeah, like you don't have to go crazy.
And that's what people don't realize is when they go to a restaurant, and I tell my clients all the time too, like if you guys go out, text me. Give me the freaking menu. I'll tell you exactly what to eat. I know your macros in my head or something clean, and I can fit it for you.
Yeah.
And most people go, hey, coach, I'm going to Cheesecake Factory. What can I have? Oh, I know the macros. People go there all the time, whatever. Boom, they're satisfied. And I tell them it's not about you going out and having a cheeseburger with mac and cheese and fries, which is bomb, by the way, at Cheesecake. But it's about you being there and being present with usually it's a date or like a family. Oh yeah, that makes sense, and that's how I realized that it works for my people.
Yeah, and another thing that I've tried to do is reduce the quantity and increase the quality. For example, I love cheesecake, right? I love cheesecake.
Cheesecake Factory or cheesecake?
Just cheesecake in general. But what I found is, both. So there are cheesecakes that are like high quality, expensive cheesecake.
Yeah.
They're like $15 a slice.
France.
Like they're so good. But what I found is if you love cheesecake, you can have a little bit of cheesecake, but have that high quality, just one. You don't need 4 slices of the Costco one.
Yeah.
That has kind of worked for me. And for example, I have friends that like to drink.
Yeah.
And maybe they used to have 5 or 6 beers.
Yeah.
So instead of having 5 or 6 beers, they have one really high quality one, and they enjoy that, and they're present with it, and that's it. But that's it. Then you stop. Right. So that's something that has kind of helped me when I'm either out or I'm going to have a dessert or something.
Right.
Just have less. So reduce the quantity and increase the quality.
Yeah.
That's something that has kind of helped me so that I don't, I guess, feel limited. I can still have it, but you just, I think the punchline is you don't need so much.
Yeah, you don't need so much, and you also
much.
don't want to feel limited, right? Especially if you're out and about and you're doing a program with a coach or you're dieting. It's not about restricting where you're going and eat from Tupperwares every single day. Like, yeah, have an athlete do that, right? Because they're getting close to a show or whatever. But most of my lifestyle clients will still go out to eat. There's still ways you can get all your macros in at restaurants. People just don't know that. I can go to any restaurant right now and ask her specifically, I want 2 grilled chicken, give me some veggies, and give me some rice. They will do it.
That's what Ray does. There's a Mexican restaurant we love.
Yeah.
It's not what she orders is not even on the menu.
Yeah.
So can I just get some grilled chicken and some rice?
Yeah, that's all it is.
She gets it every time.
See, she has found that self-control of I don't have to go here and indulge myself in chips and salsa and tacos and all that. Because I am in a journey with myself, and that's having a lot of self-accountability.
Yeah.
If you can go out and about with your friends and not, I've done it for years. I didn't drink for years. Because one, my goal and my why was a lot bigger than that drink or that AMF, because I love AMFs. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My why was more than going out and spending $100 on a steak, right? And for a little bit, I wouldn't say damper, but me and Cass couldn't go out to eat because I was prepping all the fucking time, you know? But then she learned his why is bigger. I'm still going to be able to eat my food. I don't have to eat like he does.
Which I think is key.
It's key. You know, and we flip-flopped when she was prepping and we were both dieting and it was great. But the biggest thing is I tell people all the time is don't restrict yourself. If you have a goal, stick to that goal, but there's ways to make it feasible for all of us to still enjoy a gathering or a restaurant or family events.
Yeah.
Don't be that person that says, oh, I have a coach or I got a coach and you're not even following anything you're fucking doing. Because now you're wasting money and time and that professional's time that's there to help you. And that's where I think falls into self-control of a man is if you're not willing to do it and give it 100%, then don't do it.
Then don't do it. Sure. Of course. Mm-hmm. So I love that. Let's transition to the mind part.
Okay.
So here where I think we fail a lot, and I'll speak from personal experience, is in that self-dialogue.
Yeah.
How we talk to ourselves, how we judge ourselves. It's not, at least in my experience, it's not so much what others say. I've found that I don't really care too much what other people say.
That's good.
But I have often...
You're like 3% of the population.
Yeah. But often I find myself sabotaging myself.
Yeah.
To where I try to hold myself up to a certain standard, or I don't like what I do, I don't like what I see, or I wish I was somewhere else, or I compare myself to other people, which can be unhealthy. I've tried to change that to where if there's somebody that I find myself comparing myself to, I try to learn from that individual.
Gotcha.
But try to be mindful of how it makes me feel.
Gotcha.
So I think social media plays a big part in this.
It always
to
does.
Where you have to really audit who you're following and how those people make you feel. And we've talked about this a little bit before, but I think when we talk specifically about self-control when it comes to the mind is learning how to stop that self-dialogue, recognizing it and stopping it. Whether that implies meditation. There was a cool quote that I saw the other day that it said meditation is the pause button for the story that you tell yourself.
Ooh.
So if you can get to a place...
Wait, say that again.
That's some deep shit.
Say that again?
It says meditation is the pause button for the story that you tell yourself. So our brains are always going. They're always going. They're always going. We're always thinking, planning, what do I got to do today? It's always going. But if you can find a way to stop it and just sit in silence, it allows you to reframe things, to organize your thoughts, because often we become a prisoner of our thoughts, 100%. At least for me, where we're just going and we're just reactive to whatever comes our way. So there's all this stimuli that comes from work,
all
family,
all over the place.
and we're trying to respond to that in the best way, but there's no order. It's just chaos.
It's just chaos.
So if we can find a way, whether it's meditation or I know that you do morning walks, things like that, where that's the pause button to where it's silent, that can really allow you to organize your thoughts and try to organize the chaos. Yeah. Have you found that to be true with you?
Yeah. So with me, my therapist that I've had forever, when we talked about meditating and what would help me to be a better man, right? He said, meditation is the answer to unraveling your brain. Right? It's kind of the same concept, right? It's like, oh, that's true. It was the exact same mindset of I had so many things. Who am I? What am I gonna do? Where am I gonna be? What I want to dress like? Like we always find ourselves in this lost phase in our lives, and I think
you're
that
always
happens.
thinking. You're always thinking about something.
You know what? I think that does happen every couple months for people, every couple years for people. You know, and Mike said it last podcast is if he's not growing, he's not evolving. He needs to be doing more. Which, yes, I agree. But a lot of people find themselves in this lost phase every couple months, every couple years. Even though they can be doing super, super great. And for me, I've learned that.
Real quick, do you think that's healthy, though? Do you think that's healthy? I go back and forth on that because I get progress and growth. I understand that, right?
Yeah.
And that makes sense. But I think that then poses the question, how much is enough?
And that's the thing, like, I am so happy with what I do. I do it every single day.
Like, how many clients do you have total in your gym?
Oh, like
rough
over
number.
350.
Okay, 350. Why not 1,000? Is that
Because
something that you want? Would that be a positive? Would that be, you know what I mean?
It's a negative because now I'm spreading myself way too thin, right?
So I think we far too often fall into that.
Yeah.
And actually, me and Ray were just
But
having
you
a
gotta think
conversation.
of realistic goals.
Of course. So me and Ray were having a conversation just off camera about a situation where there are people that want to continue to grow, and they're so obsessed with growth that they don't realize or take care of what they already have. So if you become obsessed with getting 500 people in your gym, that's it. Like 500. You might fall into not appreciating the 300 that you do have.
And that's the biggest thing is you guys, when you get to a point in life where you are happy and everything's working for you, stay there for a little bit. Be present in it. Smolder yourself in it. Kiss it. Love it. Water it. I posted something today. What did I post? Plant seeds, not weeds.
Yes.
I'm planting those seeds every single day. My garden is going to be beautiful because I stayed and I watered and I planted every single plant in my life.
But if you do that, society will tell you that you're wrong, because you're finally comfortable, right? You're finally comfortable, and if you stay there and you enjoy it, people will say, "You're not hustling.
Content. You're not hustling.
You should." And I feel that can be such a damaging thing.
Because
you're working so hard to be comfortable, to provide for your kids, to have the house. Okay, you finally did it. You accomplished it. And so if you don't learn, and I've had to do this, to, like you said, just enjoy it. Allow yourself to be comfortable.
And that's
why that is the result. And you're always just chasing more. Yeah. That's exhausting. I found it to be exhausting.
Half of the kids that I say kids, they're in their 20s, right? Coach, I want to be a pro. I want to be a millionaire. I want to drive a Lambo. I'm driving a list. And I'm like, you haven't even gotten the first step. You haven't even made 50 grand on your own or 100 grand on your own. Like, there's steps and levels to everything that we do to get to that huge goal. But they see it from, that kid has it because he has a TikTok of 3 million followers and he gets paid. He has a Lambo. Well, his cards got dealt completely different, right? I'm talking about the average person that I see every day. They have all these amazing, crazy dreams, but they're not sitting here looking at what's happening now and being present with what they have. Because we're dreamers. We're dreamers. We want to dream and dream and dream and dream. I was a dreamer, but the difference is I acted on every single fucking day for years.
And I think that's the balance, because having dreams is great. Yeah. Having aspirations, having goals, I love it. But again, it's just this dangerous,
it's a dangerous game.
Tightrope to where you never enjoy what you have.
And I
you
think
never enjoy anything because you always feel this need to have more.
And I think people cannot make realistic goals for themselves. Do you believe that?
Expand on that.
So I'm 20 years old and I want to drive a Lambo.
It's like, what does that mean? Like, how are you going to get there?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a very unrealistic goal when you're 21 if you're just a regular, Joe Schmo.
Yeah. So I agree with that completely. Again, me and Ray were having a conversation about someone who is really about helping people. Yeah. So he's always like, I want to help people. And so they have a new venture, and I'm talking to him, And I'm like, hey, what's your goal? He's like, I just want to help people. Okay, but how? Like, what are you gonna do? I mean, I don't know, but we're just helping people. So I kept trying to get it out of him.
Find the why.
Yeah. So he's saying we started this new company. He's like, okay, so your company, what are you selling? It's like, well, it's kind of like a platform of like motivation, but like, what is it? Is it a subscription model? Are you just going to create content for social media? He didn't know. He's just like, we're just helping people. So I think that goes straight to what you're saying, that it's great to want to help people. I love it. Yeah. But what does that mean?
And that's the thing. There's levels, there's layers, there's bricks, there's so many ins and outs, ifs and don'ts, information that is needed for that specific goal to be achieved.
Because if you don't know, you're gonna fail.
You're gonna fail. You're fucking lost. You're all over the place. Like, I want to help people.
But then that's what hurts our mental health.
Yeah.
Because we failed.
But it hurts us because, okay, so wouldn't it be better for you to go back a little bit and say, okay, this is my A, B, C, D, E game plan, and then we deliver. With no plan, there's no ending goal. Yep. So that's what hurts us, because, oh, fuck, well, we didn't get $1,000 or whatever, or no signups. Well, yeah, because you didn't have a plan and you set unrealistic goals for yourself equals you're crushed.
Or you overextend yourself, right? So you go and you get a lease in the office, and you get an office, and you get a building, you're doing all these things, but you don't have a real product behind it. You don't have a way to make money. So eventually the money is going to run out.
Yeah.
And then your business that never probably existed in the first place is going to fail. That's something that we talked about with Leslie and Ray opening up their studio. It's like, what are the numbers?
You have to look at it from so many different variables. And I think people, they launch something, or they go in towards something, and they're not looking at every single piece. Now, for me, if you're very self-aware and you have this controlled mentality, and this is how I think of it in my head, I call it information board. I'm literally like a little hamster wheel consistently in my brain, and I connect the dots with everything that I do. Financially, business, with clients, the website, everything that's running, the shoes, the podcast. Like, I literally like play Tetris in my head to make sure that everything runs smoothly. And it's hard to like explain it, but I have been working on this for a very, very long time with another person helping me find better ways to be a better man, right? Which gives me more self-control, right? And I've talked about this before. My biggest, problem and issue years ago was the infidelity.
Yeah, which that's our next topic.
Right. So you guys need to slowly create perfect habits in every aspect of your life. And there was a thing I read years ago, was the realms of transformation. And it was spiritual, physical, mental, emotional, and financial. Financial, I don't know what you think on that. I think it's a little off, because you can be happy with little money. You can be happy with a lot of money. People that are rich are unhappy. Right? People that are poor are more happier than people that are rich, right? So I think that the money aspect of it is a variable, because I don't think people are happy with money sometimes.
I think it depends, right?
It depends.
And there's studies on that.
But I think for me, man, I think we need to start with us first, and then think of the actual object of money, or a car, or a wife, right? Because it all starts from us.
Sure, 100%. And like you said, you have to try to have a plan, and then try to attack that plan, and be flexible and be coachable. So let's wrap up with the last one, which is the sexual temptations, right? Which a lot of people fall into. We all have to some degree or another. I think that when you talk about that topic, I think the biggest thing is, if you have a partner or if you have a family, it's just putting it in the proper perspective of, are you willing to take a gamble to lose
all of this?
Is it worth it? Is it actually worth it?
It's not.
And but giving yourself that time when you're in that tempting situation of thinking about that. Yeah. Whether you have kids, or you have a spouse, or you have a family, you have a house, you have everything that you've built. Is it worth risking it? Could you get away with it? Maybe. I think the odds of that are low. Mm-hmm. Could you not get caught? Maybe. Yeah. But is it worth putting at risk? And like you said, I think the answer always is going to be no.
No. And you can put us as a real Ray, but guys, I tell you this right now, the grass is not greener on the other side. We live in a generation and in a time where we have options. I actually posted this last week, right? And one of my friends that knows me, we've been best friends for a while, even wrote me. I was like, hey, man, like, I'm proud of you because I knew who you were before and I know who you are now. And that broke my heart, right? But what I mean by that was it is not worth cheating or being unfaithful to your partner. You guys, I almost lost everything. And I'm being 100% real right now. Ray, you can even post this as a reel. I almost lost everything because I didn't have control of my sexual self, right? I thought that I could get away with being with another person or being with other people, right, simultaneously, and using my platform and using Gucci, that's what we, as that to engage into the acts, right?
Sure.
And it's not worth it because if I would have kept going, I would have lost everything that you guys know that Luis is, right? And it's hard to talk about because looking back at it, and social media was the main temptation. It really was. And a lot of people don't realize that, yeah, there's a lot of people out there that look at you every single day and vice versa. We're in this time frame of I can scroll and see thousands of different women. Options, right? Even if they're married or single, people don't give a fuck.
People don't care.
Right?
Which is wild.
And it's so funny because a couple years ago, I think you remember this, I bought me and Cass, I got her first Benz, right? And I remember this to this day. I posted it. We were super happy about it. And I got a DM from a different female. And it said, oh my gosh, I can't wait for you to buy me one too. And I'm like, bro, I just posted this picture with me and my wife. I bought her a vehicle for her first actual vehicle that we bought together. And then another person didn't care. She didn't connect the dots. But for me and for you guys out there, and I tell all my clients this, all the guys that ask me, like, hey, coach, like, how do you do it? Like, you're around women all the time. And I said, you freaking shut your mouth and you keep on going and you stay faithful. And that is me being able to teach other people to not be or do what I have done, right? Which gives me a sense of, happiness, and it gives me a sense of, kind of like a father, because I don't want my people, my athletes that are getting sponsored, looking good, competing.
Yeah, they're where you were 5-10 years ago.
Exactly. And that's the thing that I realized, and I tell them, hey, man, like, this is what I did, what I have done, and this is what you should need to do. It's not worth it. It isn't worth it.
It's not. It's really not. And I think when you're in those situations, it's having the most important people in your life being conscious of them, having them front of mind, I think can really, really help. And not giving into this false sense of kind of being Superman, this false sense of invincibility
100%.
of, you know what, no one's going to know, or it doesn't even matter, or, I mean, and again, it goes back to all this is connected because that's the story you tell yourself.
We tell ourselves so many different scenarios in our brain, and again, it's called scatterbrain. We're lost. We're trying to figure who we are and trying to find this new life. And if you are changing for the positive aspect of it, you always have to remember that, okay, what do I need to do? What can I control for myself so I don't go back to my previous habits, or I don't want to go back to being that person, right? And we talk about self-growth is you being better every day and not going back to the person that you were, because you don't want to be that person, right? So what are you doing on a daily basis, weekly, monthly, to go this way? And don't get me wrong, I've had plenty of times where I have to call my therapist, like, bro, like, Gucci's coming back out. Like, what happened? And so we go through the same process. Okay, what are you feeling? What are you doing? What happened? What were your surroundings? Because a lot of people's traumas and a lot of people's insecurities or triggers come from a place, a song, a smell, come from a person or a friend or a lookalike of a person. And we don't know that until we actually recognize where those triggers are coming from.
Yeah, and I think that process of self-awareness is absolutely critical.
And then we talk about meditating, right? If you're really good at meditating, you know how to actually meditate, and I'll try to explain how I do it, but it's kind of like I'm in a highway. I think I said this before. And I try to consistently be constant in the highway, and I start seeing myself. I'm in the highway. I'm driving. What's taking me to the exit sign? What's not unraveling in my brain? What can I not answer for myself? And when I start seeing myself deviating from certain things, and I think about that thing, okay, it was, say, business, right? We lost 20 grand. Okay, so then I put myself in. I was like, okay, what happened? When, where, how? What did I do wrong? And I try to put myself back on the freeway, on the highway, to be constant with everything that's happening. So in my life, everything has to be in the highway, moving slowly, right? And then there's that controlled chaos around it, right, which I can handle. But in me, I have to be consistent in the highway. And when something deviates, I can call you. I know that. I can call Cass, and I have to understand the why. But now I don't need to go to other people because I figured out for myself. All those times that I've been by myself, alone, meditating with therapy, going deeper into my onion, that's why I can get away. I can get out of it a lot faster, and I have less triggers, and I have less traumas.
You've developed the skill set, which at the end of the day, I think it's a skill set that can be learned. It needs to be learned, and I see meditation as just the pause button. It's the pause button. That. It's the pause button where you think things through, you slow down, you analyze why things happen, how they happened, especially when you're in a tough situation with your partner.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, when you're arguing, when you're fighting, it's so easy to just go off of emotion.
100%.
Right? But if you can give yourself a second, and I've had to learn this because Leslie is really big on this. She doesn't like to engage right away, and I do. It's like, we need to solve this right now. And she kind of needs a second. And what I've learned is that there's actually value in that because it allows you to hit the pause button and think about, okay, why do I feel angry? Why is she angry? What happened? And I think that if we can establish that in these three different aspects, right? Food, the sexual urge, the way that we talk to ourselves, we'll be much better for it because we'll learn about ourselves and then we'll be able to stop things before they happen.
Yeah, 100%.
Instead of trying to clean up the mess, we'll avoid making the mess in the first place.
And it's the same thing as failing, right? You're doing something, you fail. Once you fail, you can kind of go around everything and kind of fix what you didn't do before, or take away the things that didn't really actually help you, right? And that's the biggest thing. And one thing, and I agree with you, is self-communication with yourself is huge. And it's weird because I don't really talk down on myself. I never have. And it might sound kind of like dickish and egotistical, but I'm really positive with myself. I know I can achieve a lot of different things, and I owe a lot that to my wife because she does remind me. I remind her, you're beautiful. I'm thankful for you. You're valuable. I hear you. Those little things make someone's day, right? And I said that to myself. One of my other mentors, Brandon Holmes, years ago, he said, when you wake up, you got to tell yourself, I love myself. So I love myself. You tell that to yourself 10 times in the mirror. I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. It actually helps a lot. And there's other little things that you can do. But the biggest thing is the lies that we tell ourselves. I'm fat. You tell yourself that every single day, you will become fat. 100%. And I don't think people realize that there's so much more into that self-thought, to self-conversation with yourself. And I'm sorry, but if you do it to yourself, you're going to do it to other people.
Yeah, 100%. So, guys, just in wrapping up this episode, right, we try to break this down to three distinct topics. That's one of the reasons why I love social media, because this whole conversation, I don't know what it is. How long have we been going? 50 minutes? 45 minutes.
Perfect.
On one post.
Yeah.
One post, one quote, that if you can take the time to really think about it, you can learn so much from one Instagram post.
And that's the thing. people don't realize how much information, good information, is out there for social media. And I also think people use social media for the bad of it, because options, women, men, fitness, the posts and the shoes that people are posting, that's on me, and everything else, where it's a facade.
It is.
I use my social media. Actually, the last 3 weeks, I have deleted over 3,000 people that I don't even fucking know or that don't give me any value. I want my social media feed, my thread, my Facebook, to have value.
To have what you want it to have.
What I want to read. Things that I want to have. If you go to my Explorer page, it's literally mental stuff, shoes, bodybuilding, and Jim Rome is literally everywhere. Jay Shetty. Things like that. Those are things that I want to read. When I was 25, it was this bitch, that bitch. Oop, I'm so sorry. That girl, this girl, that girl, that girl, that girl, that girl.
But I think that speaks to taking back your power.
Exactly.
And understanding that at the end of the day, you choose. You choose what you want to see. You choose who you follow. You choose what you engage in, what you interact with. So you can create a very positive environment within social media 100%. If you're conscious enough to eliminate the negative and add more of the positive. The algorithm will give you more of what you want, but you got to want the right things.
It's the exact same thing as having good friends around you.
Sure.
If you hang out with bad people, you'll be bad. If you hang, I heard this quote: if you hang out with 5 smokers, you'll be the 6th, right? 100%. And that's one of the biggest things people don't realize. What you read and what you look at, your friends, your family, your job, everything that you do, guys, have intention. I tell that to my athletes every day. When you're in the fucking gym, be intentional with what you're doing. Because this pro and that pro and that pro that you want to look like or be like,
they're not texting.
They're not texting. They're not talking. They're not fucking, whatever. They're literally in their zone because they want to be the best. It's a trend. And all the people that are, a lot of my pros, a lot of people that are winning shows or won overalls, they call them overalls, they have the exact same traits as all the other winners.
Yeah. Because winning has a pattern, right? You just have to learn what that is. Like we talked about in the beginning, establish those small habits, and then you won't find yourself having to exercise so much willpower or restraining yourself, because you clean up your environment, you know where you're at, you control it, you learn what the triggers are, you learn what makes you tick, what is difficult to stay away from so you don't buy it at the grocery store. So all those little things I think can compound in the same way that we said that if you make bad choices, it compounds in a negative 100%. Way. The small good things can then compound in a positive way. So guys, in the comments, or shoot us a DM with what you guys struggle with. If you had to pick one, is your struggle more on the physical side, on the mental side, on the sexual side? Where are we struggling? And I think that the more that we can work on those specific things, then everything else will just kind of fall in order. But I mean, I often think of Sean Whalen's quote that he always says, just, we have to get our house in order.
100%.
Get your house in order.
I love that. And the house, you guys, means your overall life. Not the home, not the yard, like your home. Think of you as a home, right? And a lot of the times when I go to like conferences and health conferences, your body is your temple, right? Temple is a home. It's God's home. So think of it that way. Think of a home of everything of who you are as a person, everything of your being, your surroundings, smells, areas, friends, family, likes, dislikes. You guys have to literally like completely submerge yourself in the thought of just you. And what is it that you need to work on and be better at? Because some people have a lot of amazing traits as a person. They have a lot of shitty traits as a person also, right? So what happens when you combine the good ones and you start working on the bad ones? You are such a better person overall. I want people to be overall balanced in everything that they do. That's what I strive for. I strive for complete balance in my life with everything that I do. My body, my shoes, my clothes, my relationship, my clients, my wife, my home, my dogs, my businesses. Everything is a balance, but it's called alignment. You have to be aligned with your morals, your values, and your goals. That's how I thrive.
I agree. And
once I'm fucking unaligned, I'm calling you.
Sure.
You know, I'm like, okay, what's going on? Like, hey, I don't feel, and I feel it, because I'm used to just being so good, and once, ask Cass, well, we'll get her right now. Once Luis goes from Lou to Gucci, I'm done.
But I think the punchline with that and the positive is that now you recognize it.
Exactly, and that's
So
the
now-
win. It's
now you're
recognizing
self-aware.
when you're falling, get back into it.
Yep, and you're able to do that.
Able to do
and
that.
you've learned how to do that for yourself. You've learned your process,
Mm-hmm.
what allows you to get back in alignment. What are those, I guess, little things, little triggers that
Mm-hmm.
that tell you what are those warning signs, those little check engine lights.
And there's so many things people can do, man, like meditating, breathing. I started doing coloring books. Legit.
It works. It works.
Whatever works.
Whatever works.
Is keeping this busy and keeping you away from anger, pain, sadness, sexual behaviors, or sexual wantings, right? And there's so many things that we can go on topic about it and speak and help. But I think the biggest thing for you guys is knowing how to find that good self-control.
Yeah, just know yourself, right? Guys, so with that being said, shoot us your DMs, like, subscribe. We got a long list of great guests that are going to be coming on the show.
I was amazed.
So it's coming. Ray's on it. It's going to be awesome. So yeah, with that being said, guys, this has been episode number 13. Hope it was helpful. Share it, pass it on, and we will be back in a couple weeks.
Boom, boom.